The champagne flute feels heavier than it should, cold against my skin. Around me, the familiar gilded cage of my family estate hums with forced laughter and polite murmurs. My sister, Elise, stands beside James, beaming, her hand resting possessively on his arm as she announces my surprise engagement party. Surprise is one word for it, violation is another. I feel the weight of the ring on my finger. Mother's heirloom sapphire, slipped onto my hand by Elise earlier with the conspiratorial whisper of, "Just for tonight, Maya, play along." Except she called me Maya, my name is Mara now, and I never agreed to marry James, not 5 years ago, not now. James leans in, his breath warm against my ear, his fingers digging into my shoulder just enough to hurt. "Just smile, Maya," he murmurs, his voice a silken threat. "We both know what happens if you don't." His eyes and the eyes of others circling us. Olivia, Marcus, even Valerie hovering near the edge, hold the same predatory gleam I remember from another party, the one they threw after my funeral. Deja vu washes over me, cold and sharp. The crystal chandelier throws fractured light across the room, catching the edge of the simple leather-bound diary tucked inside my purse. Not the original, that one rests in a vault. This is its twin, waiting. They think I'm the same fragile girl they broke. They're wrong. I smile, a placid mask sliding into place as the room spins. Let them think they've won this round. 5 years ago, the rough sway of a boat, the burn of salt water in my lungs. I coughed, choked, sputtered back to life on the deck of a fishing trawler miles from anywhere. "Easy now, miss." A weathered face peered down at me, concern etched around kind eyes. "The storm. It took everything. Found you clinging to wreckage. Lucky one you are." Memory flickered, sharp and brutal. The yacht pitching violently. Rain lashing down. James, his face grim, deliberately cutting the wires to the emergency radio. Elise, her eyes cold, locking the cabin door from the outside, trapping me below deck as the water rose. The sickening realization this wasn't an accident. My inheritance, the company Dad built, it was all motive. Days later, the captain, bless his quiet soul, showed me the newspapers. Maya Henderson, lost at sea. Tragic accident. My family, front and center, playing their devastated roles for the cameras. Elise clutching James's arm, tears streaming. Olivia, my supposed best friend, giving tearful interviews about my fragile state. That's when I decided Maya was dead. Let her stay that way. I found refuge with Lydia, an elderly widow in a coastal town far away. She asked few questions, offered warm soup and a quiet room. She became my confidant, the grandmother I never had. News eventually trickled back. Wreckage washed ashore, including my personal diary. Evidence. Proof of the tragic end of Maya Henderson. 5 years. A lifetime. I became Mara Holt, Lydia's distant cousin. I devoured books on finance, learned investment strategies Dad would have been proud of. I hardened my body, shed the softness they mistook for weakness. I watched them from afar, tracking their movements, their spending, my spending, and waited. Until the day Lydia passed, leaving me her modest home and the final push I needed. It was time to go back, not as Maya, but as Mara. My first day back felt like walking through a ghost story. I stood across the street watching the Henderson mansion, my home, now Elise's stage. She ran Dad's company now, lived in my rooms, wore my legacy like a stolen coat. I orchestrated the meeting with Olivia, a calculated chance encounter at a trendy cafe she frequented. "Mara Holt," I introduced myself, extending a hand. She didn't recognize me, not a flicker. But her eyes lit up when I mentioned Lydia, my supposed benefactor, and my interest in potential local investments, perhaps even in established family businesses like Henderson Corp. An invitation to her upcoming charity gala followed swiftly. Bait taken. Seeing my name etched on cold marble in the family plot later that day, that sent a chill deeper than the autumn air. Maya Henderson, beloved daughter and sister, lost too soon. Lies, carved in stone. That night, in my sterile hotel room, I opened the new diary, its pages crisp and empty. I began to write, mirroring the style, the cadence of the girl I used to be. The gala was a blur of fake smiles and assessing glances. Olivia introduced me to Elise, my sister. Her handshake was firm, professional. Her eyes lingered on my face for a fraction too long. A flicker of something, confusion. Recognition? Quickly masked. Later, James found me at the hotel bar. The same practiced charm, the easy smile that hid the predator beneath. He thought he was reeling in a new prospect, Mara Holt, the wealthy newcomer. The first move was mine. Over drinks, I casually proposed a potential partnership, outlining specific terms. Terms designed to grant me, Mara Holt, unprecedented access to Henderson Corp's internal records. He took the bait, his eyes gleaming with avarice. The game was truly underway. They moved through these events like planets in a dark orbit, held together by shared secrets and mutual greed. Elise, my older sister, always second best in Dad's eyes, always simmering with a resentment hidden behind perfect manners. I remember being 10, my carefully sculpted clay bird shattered on the floor. Elise's reflection in the window, a fleeting smirk before she rushed to console me, loudly proclaiming my clumsiness to our parents. Now she runs the company, living the life she felt entitled to. James, my ex-fiancé, charming, ambitious, utterly ruthless. He wasn't just after me, he was after the hidden Henderson assets, the ones Dad kept off the main books. I found him once, years ago, late at night in Dad's private study, long after Dad was asleep. Rifling through ledgers he had no business touching, he'd claimed he was looking for a misplaced pen. His charm is a weapon, honed and deadly. Olivia, my former best friend, the Judas kiss personified. After my death. Her testimony about my instability and reckless behavior helped solidify the accident narrative. Conveniently, it also endeared her further to Elise and the social standing she craved. Now she plays the role of grieving friend to perfection, her sympathy as hollow as her laughter. Marcus Thorne, the family attorney, trusted advisor to my father, or so we thought. He oversaw the changes to Dad's will during those last hazy weeks of his illness. Dad seemed so confused then. Marcus always seems nervous now, eyes darting, phone clutched tight whenever I, Mara Holt, am near, and Valerie, Dad's final nurse, quiet, efficient, always there with a syringe or a pill. The medications seemed to change frequently, Dad growing weaker, more disoriented. Now, she's Elise's personal assistant, a shadow at her side. They gather at functions, a tight knot of shared guilt. I see the quick glances, the subtle signals. When I casually mention finding an old diary, quite similar to mine, at an estate sale recently, their reactions are a study in forced nonchalance. A shared flicker of panic passes between them before the masks slide back into place. Attending my first Henderson Corp board meeting as Mara Holt, potential investor, is surreal. Elise stands at the head of the table, presenting rosy financial reports I know are fabricated, built on the foundations of my stolen inheritance. Her confidence is brittle. Later, James corners me in the elevator. "Mara," he says, his voice smooth as silk. "We should discuss the finer points of our potential venture over dinner. Somewhere private." His hand lingers on my arm, the same possessive touch that used to make my skin crawl. I gently remove it, offering a non-committal smile. "Perhaps, James. Business first." At Olivia's charity function, she accidentally spills red wine down the front of my cream silk dress. Her apologies are effusive, her eyes sharp. Later, hidden behind a potted palm, I overhear her whisper to Elise. "She asked too many questions, Lee. About the family history, about everything." Marcus insists on reviewing the company ownership documents with me, guiding me through stacks of paperwork. He shows me transfer deeds, restructuring agreements. My signature is on several, clear and bold, dated 6 months after Maya Henderson drowned. My blood runs cold, but I nod politely, feigning ignorance. "Impressive restructuring," I murmur. Then there's Valerie. While I'm supposedly enjoying a spa day arranged by Elise, my hotel room's hidden security camera, a simple precaution, captures Valerie letting herself in. She doesn't steal anything. She photographs my passport, under Mara's name, my travel documents, the open pages of my new diary left strategically on the desk. Reconnaissance. When I propose an independent external audit at the next board meeting, citing standard due diligence for my potential investment, Elise gives an impassioned speech about family legacy, trust, and the unnecessary burden of such scrutiny. The motion is voted down. Later, from a shadowed corner of the hotel restaurant, I watch them, Elise, James, Olivia, Marcus, raising their glasses, toasting their success and blocking me. Their small victory, they have no idea what's coming. My nights are busy. While they sleep, secure in their deceptions, I work. I meet Detective Miller, retired now, the man who half-heartedly investigated Dad's death 5 years ago. He always had doubts but lacked proof. I provide it, copies of Dad's original medical charts showing inconsistencies, cross-referenced with pharmacy records I obtained, hinting at medication tampering by Valerie. His eyes light up with grim satisfaction. Anonymous envelopes go out. One, containing a copy of Dad's original will, the one Marcus supposedly lost, lands on the desk of a state regulatory authority overseeing corporate governance. Another, detailing suspicious offshore transfers made just after my death, goes to the Financial Crimes Unit. I create a ghost investment opportunity, a lucrative but complex deal, requiring significant liquid capital. I leak the details subtly to one of Elise's greedier board allies, knowing he'll pitch it to her. It's designed to force her hand, to make her move funds from the hidden accounts James helped establish. An untraceable offshore account is opened under a shell corporation. Its sole purpose, to receive and track the movement of those illicit funds when Elise inevitably takes the bait. Marcus's overworked and underappreciated assistant, Sarah, is surprisingly receptive to friendly conversation and valuable stock market tips. In return, fragments of confidential schedules, redacted meeting minutes, and hushed office gossip find their way to my encrypted inbox. Access granted. The seeds of discord are sown. An anonymous message, encrypted and untraceable, reaches James, hinting that Elise might be squirreling away additional assets he doesn't know about. A casual remark to a gossip-prone board member about James's disastrous, hushed-up business failure in South America years ago. Enough to make them question each other. Olivia's weakness is vanity and alcohol. At a smaller gathering, my hidden recorder captures her drunkenly bragging to a minor social rival about how she helped the family manage the narrative after poor Maya's tragic end, admitting she embellished details of my mental state for the police report insurance. Valerie gets a seemingly random encounter. I arrange for her to bump into the lead pharmacist from the compounding pharmacy that filled Dad's complex prescriptions 5 years ago. A pharmacist I know keeps meticulous records and has a long memory. Just seeing him plants a seed of fear and the diary. My new diary, left open occasionally. Pages filled with mundane observations as Mara Holt, but sprinkled with phrases, descriptions, echoes of Maya's voice. Familiar enough to be unsettling, specific enough to make them wonder. Alone in my hotel room, the city lights painting patterns on the wall, I cross names and tasks off a mental list. On my laptop screen, I watch encrypted notifications trace the electronic breadcrumbs as Elise, pressured by the fake investment scheme, begins moving money. Their carefully constructed world is starting to fracture. It starts subtly, then builds. A small article buried in the financial section mentions irregularities in Henderson Corp's recent quarterly reports. Then, a bigger outlet picks it up. Questions are asked, an investigation is rumored. Elise calls a press conference. She stands ramrod straight, blaming minor accounting errors, praising her team's diligence, but her hands tremble almost imperceptibly as she grips the podium. James issues a swift statement through his lawyer, claiming complete separation from the company's financial operations, expressing shock and disappointment. Damage control. Board members, smelling smoke, call an emergency closed-door meeting. Whispers of replacing Elise circulate. Olivia's charity gala, her crowning social achievement, sees major donors quietly withdraw pledges citing reputational concerns about the Henderson connection. Her phone stops ringing. Marcus is seen working late, shadows under his eyes. Sarah, my source, reports the shredder running almost constantly. Valerie has a tense, whispered argument with Elise in the lobby of the Henderson building, witnessed by several employees. Henderson Corp stock begins a sickening slide. Investors panic. My encrypted communication channels intercept frantic, clipped phone calls between the conspirators. Accusations fly, blame shifts. Then the desperate moves. Elise appears at my hotel suite door unannounced. Her composure is gone, replaced by a raw panic. Mara, she pleads. The company. Temporary cash flow issues. Unfounded rumors. A significant investment from you right now could stabilize everything. She presents a proposal, her hands shaking as she holds the folder. I take it, my expression calm, unreadable. I'll review this, Elise. Thank you. Hours later, a separate call from James. Smooth, conspiratorial. Mara, forget Elise. She's losing control. You and I, we can steer this ship. A private partnership. Cut Elise out. Help me solve this temporary problem, and the company's future is ours. Their competing offers hang in the air, exposing the cracks in their crumbling alliance. I give them both vague, non-committal responses, letting them dangle, letting them sweat as the regulatory noose I helped fashion tightens around them. The satisfaction is cold, precise. Watching them scramble in the wreckage they built, the final touch for this round. Anonymous couriers deliver manila envelopes simultaneously to Elise, James, Olivia, and Marcus. Each envelope contains a few photocopied pages from Maya Henderson's original diary, the one recovered from the yacht wreckage. But each person receives different pages. Pages detailing private conversations, secret fears, specific observations about them. Just enough to sow maximum confusion, distrust, and paranoia among the already fractured group. Let them tear each other apart. Their panic shifts, coalesces. They stop fighting each other long enough to focus on the anomaly. Mara Holt. Anonymous tips, whispers from contacts. They start digging into my fabricated background. And they find holes. Elise's demeanor towards me abruptly thaws into suffocating warmth. Mara, darling, you shouldn't be rattling around in that stuffy hotel. Come stay at the mansion. We have plenty of room. Consider it home. The guest room she prepares, my old bedroom, subtly renovated but undeniably mine. The scent of the lemon verbena polish Mother always used lingers faintly. A test. James proposes a new joint venture, structured differently. The terms now require extensive personal financial disclosure from me, designed to expose Mara Holt's assets and origins. Olivia starts sharing anecdotes, specific childhood memories of poor Maya, watching my face intently for any flicker of recognition, any slip. Remember that time Maya fell out of the old oak tree? She asks brightly over lunch, her eyes like chips of glass. I offer a sympathetic blank smile. Sounds like she was quite adventurous. Marcus, unsolicited, offers to review my investment portfolio. Just a professional courtesy, Mara. Ensure everything is optimized, secure. An excuse to probe my financial history. I discover the bugs during the move to the mansion. Tiny cameras expertly concealed in the smoke detector, the clock radio. My temporary sanctuary, the hotel suite, had been compromised while I accepted Elise's cloying invitation. They're actively investigating me now. Valerie accidentally walks into my ensuite bathroom while I'm removing my colored contact lenses, the ones that change my natural eye color just enough. A calculated intrusion. Later, through the thin walls of the old house, I overhear Elise's hushed phone call. No, but the birthmark. On her wrist. It looked exactly the same. They orchestrate a dinner party. It's an interrogation disguised as social gathering. Each of them, Elise, James, Olivia, Marcus, casually drops specific memories, private jokes, shared moments that only Maya would know. Elise raises her glass to absent loved ones, her gaze fixed on me. James recounts a sailing trip, a detail about a near-capsizing incident only he and I experienced. Olivia happens to bring out an old photo album, flipping directly to pages filled with my gap-toothed childhood grin. The air grows thick with suspicion. The carefully constructed walls of Mara Holt feel suddenly fragile. The panic I thought I'd mastered rises, cold and sharp. The final confirmation comes when I return to my room. My Mara Holt passport, tucked deep in my travel wallet, has been moved. Just slightly. Someone photographed it and put it back carelessly. They know, or they're dangerously close. Time to change tactics. If they expect Maya to crumble, I'll give them a performance. I start appearing flustered by their pointed questions, stammering slightly when asked about my past. I fabricate connections. A distant cousin of my mother's I never knew, vague stories of an inheritance from a benefactor I barely met. I let my carefully constructed composure slip, showing flashes of discomfort around the family mementos, avoiding eye contact when Maya's name is mentioned. I accidentally reveal gaps in my knowledge of world events that occurred after Maya's disappearance. Small things, easily overlooked unless you're looking for them. During a late-night conversation in the library, under Elise's relentless pseudo-sympathetic questioning, I break down. Tears well up. Glycerin-induced, a trick learned long ago. A choked confession tumbles out, about feeling adrift, about being distantly related through Lydia to the Hendersons, about a lonely upbringing in a series of indifferent foster homes. A complete fabrication, but plausible. I admit my interest in the family stemmed from a desperate curiosity about roots I never knew. Their reaction is immediate, almost palpable relief. Ah, they think. That explains it. She's not Maya seeking revenge. She's just a lonely, grasping relative hoping for a connection, maybe a handout. The perceived threat neutralizes. Their predatory instincts relax, replaced by condescending pity. James puts a comforting arm around my shoulders, the gesture sickeningly familiar. I allow it, leaning into the touch I once craved and now despise. Elise offers a brittle, insincere invitation to truly become part of the family. I accept with manufactured gratitude, tears still glistening on my cheeks. They exchange subtle, knowing glances over my bowed head. They think they've won. They think they've uncovered the simple, pathetic truth of Mara Holt. Let them believe it. Their guard is down, their misplaced confidence is my shield. While playing the role of the vulnerable, grateful, distant relative, I move. The late-night meeting is with Agent Sterling from the SEC's Enforcement Division, not Detective Miller this time. I provide him with encrypted drives containing the original Henderson Corp financials, cross-referenced with the falsified reports Elise presented, and detailed tracking of the embezzled funds moving through offshore accounts. Funds I baited Elise into moving. An anonymous courier delivers Dad's real medical records, meticulously detailing his condition before Valerie's arrival, and the suspicious decline afterward directly to the district attorney's office, marked personal and confidential. The bugs they planted? I knew about them. While appearing emotionally overwrought in my room, I activated hidden trackers previously placed on company laptops and phones belonging to Elise and James' devices they carelessly left accessible now that I was family. Their own surveillance becomes my weapon, using the access granted during my vulnerable confession moments. Wandering the mansion, supposedly seeking comfort, I gain brief, unnoticed access to the main family safe in Elise's study. Inside, I plant damning evidence, printouts of the offshore account statements, copies of James's incriminating emails I'd intercepted earlier, a burner phone preloaded with messages coordinating aspects of the original cover-up. I trigger the final sequence for the offshore funds, initiating transfers back to a newly established trust account linked directly to the original Henderson estate, managed by Dad's true executor, the one named in his hidden will. A discreet meeting with Mr. Abernathy, the elderly family banker who adored my father and always distrusted Elise. I reveal my true identity, providing irrefutable proof fingerprints, DNA markers from a medical file he retained. I swear him to secrecy, activating his long-dormant loyalty to my father. He agrees to execute the final financial reversals at my signal. I meet Arthur Vance, Dad's former business partner, a man pushed out by Elise and James shortly after Dad's death. He always suspected foul play. I give him the proof he needs. He agrees to mobilize sympathetic minority shareholders. From a secure safety deposit box, registered under Maya Henderson's name and requiring dual keys, mine and Abernathy's, I retrieve the original diary, the real one. Contact is made with the yacht manufacturer. I provide documentation of prior maintenance complaints regarding the model's specific vulnerabilities. Complaints James likely knew about and exploited. An inquiry is opened. Data streams in from the activated trackers on their devices, locations, communications, file access logs, all gathered while they believed I was too emotionally compromised to be a threat. I analyze it, cross-referencing everything. A carefully timed sequence of stock trades, executed through insulated third parties using information gleaned from their compromised devices, triggers flags for stock manipulation connected directly back to Henderson Corp leadership. The final blows land simultaneously. An official request for the exhumation of my father's body, citing new medical evidence, is delivered to Elise during a high-stakes negotiation with potential Japanese investors. Her face drains of color. I watch it unfold via the tracker feed. Her panicked call to Marcus, "You have to handle this, make it go away," is recorded. My surveillance catches James meeting with known underworld figures hired muscle he used before, likely planning intimidation tactics against the escalating investigations. I photograph the meeting from a distance, while they frantically search my room at the mansion one last time, convinced the vulnerable Mara must have slipped up. They find nothing, because the most damning physical evidence, the missing pages from the original diary, detailing the night of the accident in chilling detail, are now tucked securely inside Elise's personal safe, waiting to be found by the authorities, planted during my emotional breakdown tour of the house. This time, the dam breaks. SEC agents and DA investigators arrive at Henderson Corp headquarters simultaneously, armed with warrants. It's not rumors anymore, it's official. News explodes. Henderson Corp raided. Probe into founder's death intensifies. Elise's long-suffering executive assistant abruptly quits, giving a cryptic statement to the press about ethical concerns she could no longer ignore. James is formally questioned by state police regarding yacht maintenance records and inconsistencies in his original statement about the night of the storm. His usual charm fails him under direct interrogation. Olivia's charity foundation has its assets frozen, pending a full forensic audit, triggered by anonymous tips, mine, detailing misappropriated funds channeled into personal accounts. Her socialite friends suddenly become unavailable. Marcus Thorne is seen entering the federal building downtown, the one known for housing the U.S. Attorney's Office and witness cooperation programs. He looks gray and diminished. The state medical board launches a formal investigation into Valerie's nursing license and her practices during my father's final illness. Her past employers are contacted. Inside Henderson Corp, the remaining board members, led by Arthur Vance and the minority shareholders I activated, call an emergency meeting and vote decisively to remove Elise and James from all executive duties pending investigation outcomes. Major corporate clients, spooked by the scandal, publicly announce they are severing ties. Their world implodes. Their frantic attempts to contact Mara Holt, the wealthy relative they now desperately need, go unanswered. My phone is off. My hotel checkout was finalized days ago. Mara Holt has vanished as completely as Maya Henderson supposedly did. The chaos is beautiful in its precision. Elise gives a tearful television interview, painting herself as a victim of circumstance, betrayed by those she trusted. James, anticipating asset seizure, frantically tries to sell off his holdings before their value collapses entirely. Olivia, facing social ruin, desperately reaches out to childhood acquaintances, seeking character references that never materialize. Marcus's prestigious law office is photographed with movers carrying boxes. He's been placed on indefinite administrative leave by his partners. From a new, anonymous hotel room hundreds of miles away, I watch the news reports, the frantic scrambles, the public disgrace. My face is calm, my heart is steady. The final scene of this act. 5 identical heavy cream envelopes arrive via special courier at the separate locations where Elise, James, Olivia, Marcus, and Valerie are holed up. Inside each is a single, elegantly printed invitation. You are requested to attend a private gathering concerning the Henderson estate. Saturday, 7 p.m., Henderson Lakehouse, no sender name. Just the location, date, and time. The bait for the final act. I arrive fashionably late. The Henderson Lakehouse, usually a place of summer memories, feels heavy with dread tonight. Through the rain-lashed windows, I see them, all 5, already gathered. Their faces register shock, confusion, then dawning horror as they look around and see each other. They realize they weren't summoned individually for private deals. They were summoned together, trapped. James, ever the opportunist, tries to smooth things over, suggesting it's a misunderstanding, perhaps a legal strategy meeting called by Marcus. His charm falls flat in the tense silence. Elise whirls on Marcus. "Did you do this? Are you cutting a deal?" Olivia bursts into tears. "They offered me immunity. I didn't know what else to do." Marcus snaps back, his lawyerly composure cracking. "Immunity won't help when the offshore accounts are frozen. They know everything, Elise." Valerie, pale and trembling, whispers, I could expose everything about his medication. Everything. The desperation sinks in. Their brief alliance against me reforms, this time against the inescapable truth closing in. Then, someone spots the folders, stacked neatly on the heavy oak mantelpiece. Labeled Henderson Corp. Forensic Audit, Thorn Communications, Intercepts, Valerie Medical Records Analysis, Olivia Sworn Testimony Contradictions, James Offshore Transactions, Evidence. My evidence assembled and waiting, panic flares. They realize someone has been pulling the strings all along. And then James sees it, placed prominently beside the folders. A leather-bound diary. My diary. The original. He reaches for it, his hand shaking as he recognizes the worn cover, the familiar script on the water-stained pages he flips through. Maya, he breathes, the name a curse. Outside, the thunderstorm that's been gathering breaks with sudden fury. Wind howls around the isolated house. Lights flicker ominously, mirroring the storm that took the yacht 5 years ago. The atmosphere crackles with fear and accusation. Their final, unspoken consensus: destroy the evidence, silence whoever brought them here. Destroy Maya. Permanently. They move towards the doors, the windows, only to find them locked, bolted from the outside. The trap is sprung. Through the tiny lens of a hidden camera I placed earlier, I watch their prison take shape. The main door swings open silently amidst a crash of thunder. I step inside, shaking the rain from my coat, calm, dry, in control. 5 pairs of eyes snap towards me. Disbelief wars with dawning recognition. Elise drops the champagne glass she somehow procured. It shatters on the slate floor, the sound echoing the night of the fake engagement party. James stares, his calculating mind visibly scrambling to process this impossibility. Olivia lets out a theatrical gasp, her hand fluttering to the pearl necklace I gave her for her 18th birthday. Marcus instinctively scans for exits, his legal brain searching for loopholes that don't exist. Valerie's gaze is clinical, assessing the impossible reality of my survival. Maya? Elise whispers, the name barely audible above the storm. Hello, Elise, I say, my voice even. I slowly, deliberately remove the subtle elements of my Mara disguise, the colored contacts revealing my true eye color, a slight adjustment to my hair parting, the way I hold myself shifting from Mara's studied neutrality to Maya's innate confidence. It can't be, James mutters. Oh, but it can, I reply, stepping further into the room. I recount a small, specific detail from the night on the yacht, something only James, Elise, and I would know. The final piece of their denial crumbles. Then, the presentation. Coolly, methodically, I walk them through it, gesturing towards the folders on the mantelpiece. The financial records James thought he'd buried offshore. The recordings of Olivia admitting she lied. Marcus's conflicting instructions to his assistant about shredding specific files. Valerie's signature on forged pharmacy requisitions. Elise's emails coordinating the cover-up. Their initial stunned silence gives way to frantic blame shifting. It was Elise's idea, James shouts, pointing a trembling finger. You were the one who wanted the money, James, Elise screams back. I only said what they told me to say, Olivia sobs. I acted under duress as counsel, Marcus begins, but his voice trails off. Valerie simply stares, her face a mask of terror. James takes a step towards me, the old manipulative tenderness returning to his eyes. Maya, we can fix this. Just tell me what you want. Elise tries a different tack. Maya, sister, I was trying to protect the family legacy. Dad wouldn't have understood. Olivia wrings her hands. I thought you were unstable, Maya, truly. I was worried. Marcus clears his throat. Perhaps a global settlement? Testimony against certain parties in exchange for leniency? Valerie remains silent, calculating. The storm outside reaches a crescendo, rattling the windows. What I want, I say, my voice cutting through their panic, is for you to understand this. The authorities already have copies of everything here, and more. This gathering isn't about collecting evidence. I let the implication hang in the air. It's about closure. My closure. Their faces fall as they realize the finality of it. This isn't a negotiation. It's a reckoning. You thought the storm took me. I continue, my voice steady despite the tempest raging outside and the echoes of the one inside me. You were wrong. I tell them about the fisherman, Captain Rojas, and his family who took me in without question, who sheltered me while I healed, physically and emotionally. I explain my decision to remain legally dead, the need to understand the full scope of their conspiracy before I acted. Those 5 years you spent enjoying my inheritance, I say, meeting each of their eyes, I spent rebuilding, learning, watching. I studied your habits, your weaknesses, your secrets. I found allies, people you'd wronged, employees you'd discarded, competitors you'd cheated. I project an image onto the wall from a hidden mini projector. Grainy surveillance footage from a restaurant 5 years ago. Them. Celebrating, toasting their success just days after my memorial service. Their faces tighten. I track the money, I continue, projecting complex financial charts. Every dollar you stole, every asset you liquidated, it's all accounted for. And the diary. I pick up the original from the mantelpiece. You thought it was a simple record of a troubled young woman. You were wrong again. It contained coded messages, observations, timelines. Dad taught me well. I address each of them directly, detailing their specific betrayal, referencing evidence they never knew existed. A deleted email retrieved, a witnessed conversation, a financial anomaly traced back. You systematically tried to dismantle my life, I state, my voice devoid of heat, filled only with cold certainty. So I systematically dismantled yours. My calm is their undoing. Their panic escalates as they realize the depth of my planning, the extent of my reach. Every move you made to secure your position, every attempt to ensure I stayed dead, or later, to expose Mara Holt, it all provided more evidence against you. You built your own prison. The legal proceedings are already in motion, I inform them flatly. Warrants are being executed as we speak. This meeting changes nothing for the courts. The final layer peels away. The transformation is complete. I am not the victim they underestimated. I am the architect of their downfall. I didn't bring you here for revenge, I clarify, seeing the confusion in their eyes. Revenge is too simple. I brought you here for the truth, for you to face it, to face me. As if on cue, the lights flicker violently and die. The house plunges into darkness, save for the emergency backup lights casting long, eerie shadows. The roar of the wind and rain intensifies. The lakehouse, usually a sanctuary, feels like the epicenter of the storm, a ship foundering just like the yacht. Their composure shatters completely in the dim light. Primal fear takes over. James lunges towards me, abandoning charm for brute force as he did that night on the deck. I sidestep easily. 5 years of self-defense training makes him predictable, clumsy. Elise tries a desperate appeal. Maya, blood, we're family. The word sounds obscene coming from her lips. Olivia scrambles towards a side window, fumbling with the latch I know is secured. Marcus mutters legal jargon, frantically searching for an escape clause in reality itself. Coercion, false imprisonment, duress. Valerie surprisingly finds her voice cold and clinical even now. She's clearly suffering from trauma-induced delusions, dissociative identity. Water begins to seep under the main door. The lake is rising, flooding the lower terrace, cutting off any easy escape. Emergency alerts flash on their phones, uselessly warning of the dangerous storm conditions they are trapped within. Panic fully fractures their pathetic alliance. This was your plan from the start, Elise, James snarls, turning on her. You always wanted Father's money. And you helped spend it, Elise retorts, her voice shrill. You were embezzling long before Maya even disappeared. I lied because Olivia told me to, Valerie cries out, pointing at the sobbing socialite. She said it would protect the family. I thought she was unstable, Olivia wails. Elise and James convinced me. Marcus throws his hands up. I drafted multiple versions of the will, under instruction. I have documentation. Their confessions tumble out, overlapping, incoherent waves of self-preservation washing away any remaining loyalty. It's every rat for itself on a sinking ship. Through the storm's roar, another sound emerges. the distinctive wail of police sirens growing closer. Red and blue lights flash against the rain-streaked windows. I made the call an hour ago, timed perfectly. Their faces, illuminated by the flashing lights, register utter defeat. Uniformed officers battling the wind and rain force open the main door. One by one, Elise, James, Olivia, Marcus, and Valerie are formally cautioned, handcuffed, and escorted out into the storm, their shocked, rain-soaked faces briefly illuminated before they disappear into the waiting vehicles. I stand alone in the doorway, the original diary held loosely in my hand. The storm rages, but inside me there's a strange calm. I turn back into the dark, quiet house to wait out the tempest, the one outside mirroring the one I've finally weathered within. A month passes. The trials are pending, the media frenzy slowly subsiding. I sit across from Arthur Vance, my father's former business partner, the one pushed out by Elise and James. He slides a heavy, sealed manila envelope across the polished table in his quiet study. "Your father?" Arthur begins, his voice thick with emotion. "He suspected them, Maya, long before the end. He couldn't prove it, not definitively, but he knew something was wrong. He put contingencies in place." Inside the envelope, the truth unfolds, layer by astonishing layer. A secret will, drafted years earlier, bypassing Marcus Thorne entirely and naming Arthur as sole executor. Details of hidden offshore accounts Dad established himself, moving significant personal assets beyond Elise's potential reach before his illness truly took hold. Journals filled with his meticulous notes, suspicions about James's background checks, Elise's unusual meetings, Valerie's changing medication protocols, Marcus's evasiveness. There's a flash drive. On it, a video testimony. My father, looking tired but resolute, speaking directly to the camera weeks before his death. He outlines his fears, anticipates possible foul play, directs Arthur on specific actions should the worst happen. He mentions a second diary he kept mirroring mine, hidden. He talks about invisible ink messages in his final letters codes we used when I was a child. Arthur explains more. A hidden compartment in the lakehouse library wall, Dad's real command center, containing files he'd gathered. A network of loyal mid-level employees who fed him information after Elise took operational control. An arrangement with Captain Rojas, not just a random fisherman, but someone Dad knew and trusted from his own sailing days, asking him to keep an eye on the Henderson yacht, to report any suspicious activity. A tiny military-grade tracker sewn into the lining of the specific life vest I always used, the one I clung to in the storm. Dad had anticipated even that. And the final piece? Official documents, dated a year before my death, establishing a completely new identity. Mara Holt, complete with background history and financial seeding, held in trust by Arthur. Dad had prepared an escape route for me before I even knew I needed one. The last item is a letter addressed simply to Maya. If you are reading this, it begins in his familiar strong hand. Then my deepest fears were realized. They underestimated you. They always did. Use these tools. Reclaim what is yours, not just the company, but your life. Know that I never doubted you. He knew. He knew about James's previous identity frauds, Elise's secret talks with competitors, the whole rotten core of it. He just ran out of time to expose them himself. The trust fund he established, hidden even from his main advisors, provided the seed money for my 5 years of planning. I wasn't entirely alone in my fight. I was executing his final desperate contingency plan. Arthur hands me one last photo I've never seen, Dad holding me as an infant, beaming. On the back, his inscription, "My true heir." The press conference is concise, professional. My lawyer reads a statement confirming my identity, citing the irrefutable DNA evidence and Arthur Vance's testimony. The court order restoring my name, rights, and holdings is presented. Maya Henderson is legally resurrected. The business world reels. Henderson Corp stock, already recovering under the interim leadership Arthur installed, skyrockets. Former board members who sided with Elise now scramble to pledge loyalty. Competitors who circled like vultures now extend partnership offers. The media narrative shifts instantly, from tragic victim to miraculous survivor, then to triumphant avenger. Profiles appear. The Henderson heiress returns, 5 years in the shadows. from storm-tossed seas to corporate helm. My quiet life as Mara Holt is over. I step back into the light, but on my terms. Employee morale at Henderson Corp soars as I publicly reaffirm Dad's ethical principles. The conspirators' assets remain frozen. Marcus, facing overwhelming evidence, formally agrees to testify against the others in exchange for a potentially reduced sentence. Olivia becomes a social pariah, her name synonymous with betrayal. James's past catches up to him as other victims, emboldened by his downfall, come forward with their own stories of fraud. Elise's former allies line up to detail her manipulation and orchestration of the cover-up. Valerie's nursing license is permanently revoked. The medical board cites gross negligence and unethical conduct. The diary, my original diary, becomes a key piece of evidence, its pages dissected in court filings and news reports. When asked for comment on the impending trials, I issue a simple statement: the justice system will run its course. I offer no public condemnation, but no forgiveness either. The measured response generates unexpected goodwill. I quietly reward those who helped. Captain Rojas and his family receive a lifetime annuity. Lydia's memory is honored with a significant donation establishing a wing in her name at the local community hospital near her town. Dad's loyal employees become key figures in the restructured company. Arthur Vance stands beside me as Chairman Emeritus. I decline multiple lucrative buyout offers for Henderson Corp. This company was never just about money, I state publicly. It's about legacy, my father's legacy. The trials proceed one by one. I attend James's sentencing. He tries one last time to deploy his charm, speaking of remorse, of being manipulated by Elise. It falls flat. The judge delivers the maximum sentence for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy related to my attempted murder. His handsome face finally cracks as the sentence lands. Justice, cold and final. I visit Elise in the detention center where she awaits her own trial. The fight has gone out of her. Her eyes, usually sharp and calculating, are hollow. She attempts a justification, whispering about protecting the family name and the legacy. You never understood what Dad's legacy truly was, Elise, I say quietly, then turn and walk away. No anger, just emptiness. News reports show Olivia fulfilling her community service sentence. Ironically, working at a homeless shelter, interacting with the population she spent her life ignoring or patronizing. Her carefully curated social media is gone, wiped clean by public backlash. Marcus is disbarred. His cooperation earns him probation, but his career is over, his reputation destroyed. His wife files for divorce. The once powerful attorney is reduced to a cautionary tale. Valerie's malpractice insurance refuses to cover damages due to intentional criminal acts. Facing civil suits and professional ruin, she suffers a breakdown, diagnosed with severe depression. Poetic justice finds her reliant on the very type of care she corrupted. The board members who enabled Elise's reign make quiet restitution payments to the company to avoid further prosecution. Henderson Corp., under my leadership with Arthur's guidance, implements stringent new governance policies systematically dismantling the corrupt practices they allowed. Their attempts to rewrite their roles in the scandal are futile. The record is clear. There's a quiet satisfaction in watching the wheels of justice turn, the processes I initiated reaching their logical conclusions. Back in the lakehouse library, I retrieved Dad's journals and the evidence he collected from the hidden compartment. I placed them, along with my own original diary, into the main family safe. I lock it, the heavy click sounding like a final symbolic closure. The conspiracy is contained, its power extinguished. Arthur gives me one last letter from Dad, marked, "To be opened only when justice is complete." Inside, Dad doesn't dwell on the betrayal. He writes about his true vision for Henderson Corp. Not just profit, but integrity, sustainability, ethical leadership. He includes blueprints for company restructuring, focusing on innovation and employee well-being, ideas Elise had dismissed as sentimental. He reveals the final piece of his story. He received his terminal diagnosis months before Valerie began her suspicious treatments. Knowing his time was limited, he chose to spend his remaining energy not fighting an unwinnable battle against illness, but setting the stage to uncover the conspiracy he sensed, protecting me and his true legacy. He writes about moments I'd forgotten. Him teaching me about fair trade long before it was fashionable, praising my choice to study literature alongside economics when Elise pushed for pure finance. He saw the strength in me that Elise and James actively tried to suppress. His handwritten notes on business ethics mirror the principles I instinctively applied while rebuilding. He details innovation patents filed secretly in my name, client relationships preserved through trusted intermediaries, an international expansion plan waiting for the right Henderson to lead. His final instruction resonates deep within my soul. Build something that matters more than money, Maya. That is the true Henderson legacy. He enclosed documents establishing the foundation in my mother's memory, focused on education and community support, a philanthropic vision I now have the power to realize. Reading his final words brings a profound sense of peace. You were always stronger than they knew, stronger than even you knew. My tears fall onto the pages, blurring the ink slightly, landing near a faint brown water stain on the corner, where my own tears fell on my recovered diary years ago. The circle feels complete. I take the new company charter, the one outlining the ethical restructuring based on his principles and my vision. I sign it, my signature flowing beside the space reserved for his. Maya Henderson, CEO, fulfilling the inheritance that truly mattered. Even with justice served, they don't disappear entirely. The appeals begin, predictable and pathetic. A letter arrives from James, forwarded from the maximum security prison, filled with flowery prose about genuine remorse and finding redemption behind bars. He claims Elise manipulated him, that he was blinded by a destructive love. He uses phrases I recognize, lines he used on me years ago, designed to pluck at emotional strings. He offers, again, to testify against Elise, against anyone, for a sentence reduction. The letter goes into the shredder, unread beyond the first few manipulative sentences. My attorney forwards a handwritten plea from Elise, awaiting sentencing. It speaks of unbreakable blood bonds, the need for family reconciliation, and healing wounds before it's too late. Tucked inside are faded family photographs, me and Elise as children, smiling innocently. Calculated nostalgia, she requests a visit. Olivia attempts a public rehabilitation tour. A glossy magazine runs an exclusive interview. Olivia Carson breaks her silence, finding forgiveness after betrayal. She paints herself as naive, easily influenced, swept up in events beyond my understanding. She announces the formation of a new charity foundation, registered in my name without my consent, dedicated to supporting victims of corporate fraud. Her PR team launches a social media campaign hashtagged #HendersonHealing. Marcus's legal team sends a formal settlement proposal for the civil suits. It includes a carefully worded public apology, acknowledging certain failures in judgment, and offers significant financial restitution, contingent on a strict confidentiality agreement. The subtext is clear: accept this, or we release a counter-narrative painting Maya Henderson as vindictive and unstable. Valerie's psychiatrist contacts my office suggesting a therapeutic dialogue as part of her treatment, framing it as potentially beneficial for my healing process. They provide excerpts from her evaluation suggesting diminished capacity and profound regret. The underlying assumption in all these appeals is the same. They expect the Maya they knew, the one they thought was soft, forgiving, easily manipulated by appeals to emotion or duty. Friends from my old life cautiously reach out with lunch invitations, testing the waters. Business associates hint at the advantages of putting the past behind us for the sake of smooth commerce. The media sniffs around, eager for an inspirational forgiveness story. They fundamentally misunderstand. Maya might have considered it, Mara refuses. My response is consistent, delivered through my attorney. To James's plea, Elise's letter, Olivia's foundation announcement, Marcus's settlement offer, Valerie's therapist, no, just that. One word. No explanation, no justification, no anger. Just a clear, unambiguous boundary. James's follow-up letters are marked return to sender. Elise's tearful voicemails, filtered by my assistant, are deleted unheard. Olivia's interview requests receive a standard form letter declining participation. Marcus's legal team receives a curt notification that all further communication should occur strictly through official legal channels, accompanied by documentation countering his veiled threats. Valerie's treatment team is politely informed that I will not be participating in her therapy. There is a profound liberation in this refusal. I decline to engage with their narratives, to be drawn back into their manipulative orbit. I issue one final public statement via press release. Justice has been served through the legal system. My personal forgiveness is irrelevant to that process and will not be discussed publicly. Henderson Corp establishes a clear policy: zero contact with any of the convicted conspirators or their representatives. Former board members who settled are informed their severance is final. No further relationship with the company will be entertained. Every subsequent attempt at communication, letters, emails, third-party feelers, is systematically returned or blocked. Their shock is palpable, filtering back through lawyers and mutual acquaintances. Emotional manipulation, their primary tool, is utterly ineffective against Mara. I authorize the publication of my original diary, not for profit, but as part of the official court record, donating any proceeds from historical or legal publications to victims' rights charities. I refuse all lucrative offers for tell-all books, movies, or exclusive interviews. My trauma is not for sale. Peace settles in the space where anger and the need for vengeance used to reside. True power, I realize, isn't in destroying them further or in granting them the absolution they crave. It's in choosing my own path forward, entirely independent of their actions or desires. Closure doesn't require their remorse or my forgiveness. They no longer matter to my story, I explained calmly to Arthur one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky. It's the simple truth. The final batch of appeals arrives. Parole hearing notices, requests for character statements. I place them directly into the office shredder, not even glancing at the names. The refusal isn't angry anymore. It's just a fact, a boundary as solid and impersonal as a locked door. That night, I open my personal journal, the one I keep now, not the diary of the past. My entry is short. Today, I stopped writing about them altogether. The freedom in that final sentence is absolute. Sunrise over the Pacific. I sit on the deck of the small, remote house I now call home, coffee steam curling in the cool morning air. The rhythmic crash of waves below is a soothing mantra. Meditation centers me, a practice learned during the quiet years, now a daily anchor. My hair is its natural dark brown, catching glints of red in the sun. My face is relaxed, free from the constant performance of being Mara or the remembered strain of being the targeted Maya. The diary beside my cup, my current journal, is open to a page marked simply with today's date. The unwritten chapter begins. My phone buzzes occasionally, messages from my chosen family. An update from Captain Rojas's daughter, excelling in college on the scholarship fund I established. A reminder about my weekly video call with Lydia's friends at the comfortable assisted living complex built with funds from the Henderson Foundation, honoring her memory. Notes from Dad's loyal executives, now my trusted partners, running the day-to-day operations of the ethically restructured Henderson Corp. The foundation work provides purpose. We focus on education, sustainable development, and supporting victims of financial crime. I run my part remotely, staying involved strategically but leaving the limelight to the dedicated team. Occasionally, I accept discreet speaking engagements, sharing parts of my story, anonymously, to help others navigate betrayal and reclaim their lives. The long journey through therapy has moved me from survival to genuine thriving. Letters sometimes arrive from strangers who found strength in the published court testimony. The diary entries entered into public record. Small ripples of unexpected connection. Joy returns not with a fanfare, but in quiet moments. The taste of salt spray on a windy walk, the satisfaction of a problem solved, the warmth of true earned trust with the few people I've let close. I'm learning to sail again on my own small boat, reclaiming the water, transforming it from a symbol of trauma to a source of peace. The wind in my hair, my hand steady on the tiller, navigating the currents I once feared. It's a powerful metaphor made real. On my simple desk sits one framed photograph, a composite image showing me at the helm of Henderson Corp, confidently addressing employees, placed beside Dad's favorite portrait. Their faces, Elise's, James's, appear fleetingly in news updates about denied appeals or prison transfers. The emotional response is faint now, a distant echo. Their power over me existed only in my fear, and the fear is gone. Tonight the sky is clear, peppered with stars undimmed by city lights. I trace the constellations Dad taught me as a child. Not all storms come to destroy, I think, breathing in the clean ocean air. Some come to clear the path. I decide to write the story. Not the sensationalized version the media wanted, but my truth on my terms. A memoir. The process is cathartic, a final sifting. Separating the hard-won wisdom from the lingering trauma, I write overlooking the same ocean that once tried to claim me, the vast expanse now representing resilience, rebirth. I return, one last time, to the small fishing village that was my first sanctuary. There's a quiet community celebration honoring Captain Rojas and his family. I establish a permanent scholarship program for the village children. Seeing the captain's weathered face, now relaxed in comfortable retirement funded by the annuity, brings a quiet smile to my face. I walk the beach where I washed ashore 5 years ago, this time leaving deliberate, firm footprints in the wet sand near the receding tide. I take the replica diary, the one I used as Mara, and release it into the waves, a symbolic letting go. The original remains safely archived, a testament to the journey. Henderson Corp thrives under the values-based model Dad envisioned. We win awards for corporate responsibility and ethical leadership. The professional fulfillment is deep, resonant. The old Henderson family estate, scene of so much pain and betrayal, is donated and transformed into a vibrant community education center. My own home is small, off-grid, powered by solar panels. It represents the values that truly matter now: simplicity, self-sufficiency, peace. I tend a vegetable garden, finding grounding in the earth's steady patience. Morning swims in the bracing ocean are baptisms, washing away lingering shadows. My body, once a vessel of fear, feels strong, capable, mine again. Occasionally, my story surfaces, a footnote in legal textbooks, a case study in business ethics courses. I practice the art of polite refusal, declining interviews with a standard press statement about privacy. I've legally retained the name Mara Holt, not to hide, but because Mara is the woman who survived, who fought back, who built this new life. I embrace Maya's history and Mara's future. They are two sides of the same coin, forged in the storm. The sun crests the horizon, painting the sky in hues of rose and gold. I sit on my deck, journal open to a fresh page, pen poised. The date heads the entry. Today marks 5 years since I chose life. A soft smile touches my lips as the first words flow onto the page. The storm didn't take me. It returned me to myself.